Hey guys, I want to talk about my term paper today. I do want to throw out a little disclaimer. I still have a lot of research to do, and this is kind of going to help me sort out a lot of what's on my mind. But today I would like to argue that time is unreal and the passage of time is unreal. I'm going to take McTaggart's side on his argument, which is time essentially involves change. Change can only be explained in terms of A-series expressions, and A-series expressions involve contradiction and so cannot describe reality. Therefore, time is unreal. I think that this is a valid argument because A-series expressions are indexicals, and it really depends on the context of the statement, whether it's true or false. And with that being said, it has the power to be true and false. So I agree with that. I think that this is a really interesting argument, though. I think that time's a really interesting idea. So time is necessary when speaking about change. In Shoemaker's argument, we kind of discussed the possibility of having three different worlds. And in one world, every, I think, 3 years, time stops. There's no change. So the world freezes for 1 year. And then the same thing happens every 4 years for world 2 and every 5 years for world 3. So eventually at year 60, I think, all three worlds freeze. So this is kind of interesting because when one world was frozen, then there was another world that could witness the passage of time. But when there's all three worlds that are frozen, or the entire universe is frozen, how is there a way to measure the passage of time? Like, who's to say that 60 years didn't pass in this time of frozenness? Or who's to say that time never froze in the first place? It was just a continuation of the time, the original time. So I think this is an interesting concept, which makes time seem pretty elusive. And then there's also the fact that time is kind of defined with itself. I just kind of Googled the definition of time, and it says the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole. And then I was kind of unsure on the definition of indefinite because I thought that that was kind of a time-based definition, but it says lasting for an unknown or unstated length of time. So I think that that's an interesting definition because when you define something with itself, I feel like there's not a really good understanding of what that word or concept actually is. So we use time as a measurement to measure things, but to measure itself also, which I think is kind of, I don't know, not contradictory, but just not very scientific or like a very concrete definition of something or measurement of something. Like, for example, in our assignment 6, we were assigned to make 30 seconds pass for as long or as short as possible, which is also an interesting concept because it's the same amount of measurement. Like, it's the same time, so it should feel the same if it's a scientific measurement because it's the same, but making it feel different. Like, for example, watching my video presentation, I don't have all the answers for this. So it might be kind of difficult to watch, making it seem slower. But someone, for example, who's, I don't know, proving the existence of extraterrestrial life, and they have an alien pop up in their video presentation, and like that's going to be super interesting because they're going to have contact with these aliens, and they're going to be talking to them and asking them questions, and that video presentation is going to seem by like it's going by a lot faster than mine is. And I mean, when you're talking to somebody that they don't really know what they're talking about, it's time seems to drag on and just go very slow. But it could be the same amount of time that you're talking to these people, but it seems like way different amounts of time. And I just think that that's a very elusive concept, and I'd really like to learn more about it. But as of right now, I'm going to argue that time is unreal. There's going to be people who can argue against it, that time is obviously real. I mean, that's what we measure our lives in, pretty much. Like, this time I went to do this, and that time this happened, and time's just, it seems like a very measurable, very real thing, it could seem. But in the sense of my argument, people can deny that change, they can either deny that change can only be expressed in terms of A series expressions. They can argue that time can be expressed in B series expressions also, which are more concrete and always hold truth. Or they could argue that A series expressions involve contradiction and so cannot describe reality. So I don't really know how you would argue that, because they do involve contradiction, I think. So I kind of need a little bit of help with that one. But yeah, thank you for listening, and I appreciate any comments and counter arguments. I know I kind of might be off the wall, but yeah, thanks for listening. Good luck with the finals.